Hi there. So I thought I'd try something different in content. I don't do this professionally. I do this to. I don't know why I do a lot of what I do. um, yeah. So this is going to be delivered in, I guess, sort of more of a podcasty style. I really don't know. But I wanted to talk about imposter syndrome. I've struggled with it my entire life, as I think a lot of people do, possibly most people do. It's that kind of pervasive feeling, that your success is not off your own merit, that you are not necessarily good at things, that you are an imposter, that you will one day be caught out, exposed as a fraud, and suffer whatever consequences that may entail. So I struggle with it up and down, and I find it affects me in many ways in life. Wherein, when I'm having a good day mentally, I don't think I believe the nagging voices in my head. I think when I'm having a good day, I feel pretty confident, and I think, I feel charismatic. I think I'm reasonably attractive human being. God, that sounds weird to say out loud. I feel intelligent. I feel like my creative endeavours are good. And when I'm not having one of those days, everything feels different. I think it's really difficult to process, and it's led to me making a video where I'm not entirely know where I'm going with it. I've got about a dozen bullet points noted down to try and guide me in this, but I am very bad at writing and reading a script. It doesn't feel like me. I am far more into spontaneous thinking. So, sort of as a starting point, I'm going to go over a little bit of sort of how did I get here. And a couple of things I can definitely put down is the influence of one of my parents. So, my mum is a lovely person. I don't want to sell her as anything other than that. But she's also incredibly controlling, maybe a little bit narcissistic in the medical sense. And there has definitely been something highlighted from my life of nothing I can do is ever good enough for her. So she constantly meddles in my life, constantly tries to push me to do things, claiming that without her pushing me to do those things, I would never get anything done. And she's very often made comments which are, how do I put this? I have never received genuine praise from her in my life, I think. Maybe a couple of times, but very much not really. And everything comes with a caveat, is how I would describe it. You're so good at this, if only you'd applied yourself to bigger and better things. That is every compliment I've ever had from her. And, I was brought up on that. I think that concept has been internalised. I often make jokes around the Talladega Nights, if you're not first, you're last quote, because I often feel like that. What kind of follows on from that set out is this idea of, I think, I try to impress people. I think I push quite hard to do things in the hope that people will tell me that I have done a good job. Pure and simple, When I produce art, I really want people to look at the art and go, wow, that is good art. When I play a game, I want people to go, wow, he is good at that game. And it's a big motivator, I want to succeed. I definitely get endorphins from winning in games, for example, but, I absolutely get off on praise, pure and simple. I want people to think I'm good at things. I want people to like me. They are two of my biggest motivators in life. And, that kind of core drive, I think, leads very heavily to suffering under imposter syndrome. I produce a piece of art and people go, wow, that's great. And I go, oh, good, they like it. And then I sit there and think, but is it great? Does somebody else do it better? Are these people naive? Is my art some of the only art they've seen and they think it's great, but when they see someone else's, they'll go, well, actually, that wasn't great. And I struggle with that because my brain does it a lot. So, we'll cover the art bit. I did not do well at art at school. I don't think I was actually bad at art. I had a very interesting teacher. She did not like the boys in my year group. She was, I would say, quite bullying in that respect, to the point where she got in trouble when we got to choosing our higher education options and not one boy took her class. We all basically got failing grades all the time no matter what we produced, and I've got a couple of the pieces up in my loft somewhere, and they are pretty decent for what I've been, about 13. They're not mind blowing, but they were decent, and they all have failing grades. So I never got into particularly traditional art until I was older, and slowly learnt things myself. So I was never taught art, but I did like art. I've loved painting Warhammer miniatures for years. I eventually realised painting full art altars of cards is something I really enjoy doing. And then I've occasionally dabbled in other things, such as painting some portraits. I think they'd be portraits of space whales from Star Citizen, which, again, people really liked and people have bought from me. My art has sold, and objectively, it is popular enough that people pay me money to have it and put it on their walls, which means that it is, at the very least, good enough. I did some work a few years ago for a design studio in my city, and they wanted me to create them some dioramas, like a muddy field, a car park. Can't actually remember what I designed the third one. I think I might have done a muddy field and a snowy field. But these dioramas then had a scale model Land Rover on each of them, which I was asked to do up into the colour schemes of a company's kind of signature looks of Range Rover. How do you call it? Sort of remodels. They sort of fit out expensive cars for rich people. Would be the description of the company. But they do like a signature paint scheme. They do resprays when they refit them. And one of these models was gifted to the CEO of said company. Don't know if CEO is the right word, but the owner of the company. and one was gifted to Jamie Oliver, the chef, because he'd just had a Land Rover fitted by them, and they'd had one chosen in the same scheme as his. So, again, I can turn around and I can say I have had my artwork gifted to a celebrity, somebody rich and famous enough that, my first instinct would be that they don't need my tat. So, when I'm in a good frame of mind, I can look at this and I can go, no, I'm good at this. When I'm not in a good frame of mind, I turn around and go, well, how did I trick them? How did I con them into buying this art? How on earth did I con somebody into giving Jamie Oliver the crap which I've produced as a gift? Because it feels very wrong when I'm in that kind of mode. And I think it permeates into everything. I mentioned sort of my mixed feelings on how I look. When I'm having a good day, it feels so self-indulgent, but yeah, when I'm having a good day, I think I'm quite handsome. Like solid sort of, 7 out of 10. We'll go with that. I'm not going to try and guess this number. We'll just go with that. I'm good looking enough. I'm happy enough at how I look. When I'm having a bad day, you could not convince me I'm more than a 2. Because that's where my brain goes to. It just goes, nope, you look dreadful. And I genuinely have started to come to terms with the idea that I think this ties in with the same concepts of imposter syndrome, that it's not necessarily imposter syndrome at its root. It's, poisoned self-reflection at its root, where, you look at anything that you are doing or anything that you are and go, no, this is bad. And I'm not sure I could ever tell you why I think these things, but they are the things I think when I'm having a bad day. I think they can be really, really reinforced by other people. So, to give a really good example of this, I think there are a couple of pictures of me online that other people have posted here and there. I actually do my best to ask people not to take pictures of me and post them online. And this very much stems from I was having a pretty good day, probably 10 years ago at this point, to be honest. Took a picture of myself with a camera phone. Went, I think I look quite nice here. I'm going to make this my profile picture on Facebook. And I did so. And one of my close friends at the time turned around and went, "You look like a sex offender." And somebody else I know replied, "Yeah, you do. You look like a paedophile." And, what the fuck, right? Absolutely tanked my mood, absolutely re-wrecked my esteem for the day. I took the picture down and I've never put a picture up again because I don't like thinking about that. And, maybe one day I'll become comfortable enough in myself to get over that, but today's not that day. I think people around you really affect you. I mean, I know that. We all know that, really, right? I'm not saying anything groundbreaking there. I think it's really important to surround yourself with the right people because, my friendship circle for at least a decade was pretty toxic. People trying to knock you down and say horrible things to you. Prior to that, as I mentioned, my mother's interesting brand of care. Because as I say, I want to reiterate with her, my mum does care. She's a very nice person. She's not necessarily got the best way of going around it. I think those things can really, really impact you in life. I think the people who give you feedback, I'm not saying you need an echo chamber, that's equally bad for you. But I think if you can highlight that some people are just toxic and refuse to give them that podium to tell you things, is a really good idea. Yeah, you know, it's such a permeating aspect. Gaming is where I was going to go with this according to my bullet points. I have been very, very good at some games in my life. I played Magic the Gathering semi-competitively, in that I did not go onto the pro circuit because it was very hard to do at the time I played Magic. Just travel was kind of not a thing a lot of people did. But I was ranked third in the UK. I won probably 99% of Magic games I've ever played. It's a ridiculous win rate. I was very, very good at the time. Let's let the imposter syndrome creep in immediately. Was that because there weren't enough good players around to give me a run for my money? In the modern climate, would I perform anywhere near as well with more people having more time to get good at the game? I can't say. At the time I was in, I was one of the best in the country. And, that is one of the things where I've managed to actually, I think, keep imposter syndrome out to some degree, in that I do firmly believe I was very, very good at Magic the Gathering, and I think I'm still very good at card games. I played Legend of the Five Rings, and I was in the finals of 3 Elemental Championships, which are like a regional level event. I was clearly very good at that. I had a very good win rate. I play Flesh and Blood now. I have on average a 75% win rate, which again, I am certain if you got me into a Shark Tank, it would drop rapidly. But I win a lot of games. This is where I think the concept takes on a little bit of a different twist. My problem with competitive card games now, playing Flesh and Blood, is I'm winning 75% of games. That is well over the odds. It makes me a pretty good player, I think. But it eats me up inside that I am not getting, 100% of wins. That I'm going to a tournament that I kind of know I'm not going to win because of the deck I play, because I know there's auto losses in some of my matchups. But I'll go to a tournament and I'll be really frustrated with myself trying to work out if everything's a lie and am I actually just not a good player because I'm not getting 4 for 4 in a tournament, and winning. We're back to if you're not first, you're last. I struggle very hard with the fact that I'm not winning all my games. And I should be happy with where I am. But I'm often not. Which, is something I should work on, probably. I think that's kind of where this all comes round. There is like a striving for perfection element, right? This thing where I sort of said, I've never received positive feedback from my mother that I need to win every game, or I feel like I have effectively lost every game. It's very, very deep rooted. But, you know, in gaming, it doesn't bother me as much. You know, I win some games, I lose a game, I feel a bit annoyed, I get over it. When it's art, when it's me creating something and, you know, to use dramatic language, you know, when I'm pouring my heart and soul into something, that's the one that kind of eats at me long term. When I do something and I go, I don't think this is good enough, or I think other people shouldn't think it's good enough, that's the one that, you know, that's me hurting me. Yeah. I I don't know where I was going with this video. I think this is where I was going, but I'm not sure how I'm wrapping it up. You know, I did say at the start it was very freeform. I think where I was eventually going to head and what I'm going to just power segue into is I kind of wanted it to be a message to people to try and be happier with yourself. Because that's what I'm trying to do with my life. And, you know, I'm not reaching out and going, I am now a guru. But I am saying, you know, if I can give anybody some you know, heartfelt advice, be happier with yourself. What even triggered me to do this is I started recording my own voice. I want to say maybe 5 months ago, as a ballpark. I decided I really wanted to make a video on something. And there'd been an example maybe a year ago where I'd recorded one video. And each time I'd had to listen to them back to make sure they sounded okay, I went, oh my God, I hate my voice. And again, it's something that some people in my life have told me. You do not have a nice voice. You have a horrible accent. You don't sound nice. And when I heard my voice on playback, I would just cringe. And I really, really went, oh my God, I have a weird, squeaky, nasally, awful voice because it's higher pitched than in my head. And what I realised the other day, having made, I can't remember, I've made 60-ish, I think, Flesh and Blood gameplay videos and had to listen to various ones of them, I feel happier about my voice. I've got more used to it, to hearing it back, and I feel better about myself because of it. Because I've kind of exercised that demon. I don't hear that voice and go, oh my God, people were right. I'm starting to hear that voice and go, nah, you're fine. And yeah, that's really, you know, that's really the message I wanted to go to, I think. Don't feel bad about who you are. Don't let people tell you you should feel bad. And don't let you tell you you should feel bad. If you like doing something, do the thing. Assuming the thing is legal. Don't do the illegal things. If you do a creative thing, be proud of it. Don't let your brain, which is probably your worst enemy, tell you otherwise. You know, don't let it tell you you've done a bad thing. Think, no, I've done a good thing. If only because I've done a thing. So yeah, that's my slightly weird video. I would love to get feedback from anyone who's actually listened to this the entire way through, because God, if people make it past 2 minutes of this, I'll be surprised. This is definitely something I'm doing for me as well. Like, I wanted to sit down and say the things I've said. It feels nice going through that. But yeah, if you have listened to all this, first of all, I would appreciate feedback. Leave me a comment, tell me if you actually liked this. Feel free to tell me if you don't like it. I'm okay with that. It's very unpolished. It's me ad-libbing a however minute long video because I can't see the timer on this. And second, thank you. Thank you for sticking this out. I appreciate people giving me the time to talk to them. So as usual, I have no idea how to finish a video, so I'm just going to go thank you and goodbye.